lesson, I go over the song The Banks of the Ohio in the key of C. As you just heard in the clip before, the first pass is just the basic melody. I go over that note by note and make sure you have it learned and memorized. In the next pass, you can hear that we start to really add to that basic melody, creating a more kind of full instrumental version of that melody. So throughout the lesson, after you have learned that basic melody and are looking at the second part of the lesson, I'm going back and forth between the two parts and explaining what I did and how I added to that basic melody. Really focusing on the chord progression as well. What chord are we playing over? Why does this approach work over that chord? And where is the melody within this more advanced version? The main point of the lesson being that you can kind of acquire some tools and techniques to allow you to do this to other melodies in the future. If you'd like access to the complete lesson, which includes video files, backing tracks, and the tablature for the lesson, you can click in a link in the video description below to learn how to access that. You can also subscribe to my email list. There's another link in the video description below for that as well. You'll receive emails when new lessons are available and other things Dobro related. Thank you. All right, let's take a look at this basic melody. For the most part, I'm just going to focus on what notes my left hand is playing. As far as the right hand, you can pick most of these in this basic melody with your thumb. It's at a slower speed, not a lot of notes, so we can get away with a lot of thumb. And notes that are on the first string can kind of be picked with your middle finger. And then there's nothing saying that you can't use your index finger either, occasionally in there, but kind of that thumb and middle of your right hand are good picking fingers to kind of go back and forth with. All right, so here are the first four measures. I'm going to play the pickup notes. I'm going to leave out the last two notes of measure 4 because they're acting as pickup notes into measure 5. All right, so that first note in the pickup measure is going to be the 5th fret. I'm going to hit that twice. Then I did just a slide up to the 5th fret of the 2nd string. You can choose to do that or not. All right, and that was a quick slide from the 3rd fret to the 5th fret on the 2nd string. And then that leads to measure 1, which is going to be that 5th fret of the 2nd string again. Again, we're in the key of C for this song, right? So that note, that 2nd string 5th fret is in our C chord, which is at the 5th fret, and it's the 3rd of the chord. It rings out for a whole note, carries into the next measure for a beat. So in measure 2, I'm bringing my bar back to that 5th fret 3rd string. 5, 4, 5. That's leading to measure 3, where I ended up doing a slide up to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. And that's where we change over to the 5 chord of the progression, the G chord or G7 chord. Right, so even as you play that basic melody, you can kind of hear the chord change there. All right, moving on to measures 5 through 8. I'm going to go ahead and play those slowly. I'm going to include those last two of measure 4. Right, left out the last two of measure 8. Again, they're acting as pickup notes into the next measure. All right, so going back to measure 4, the last two are going to be that 3rd fret on the 2nd string and the 5th fret on the 2nd string. Leading to measure 5, that's going up to the 6th fret of the 2nd string. All right, and we're still over that G7 chord here. going to measure 6. It's going to bring us to that first string, 5th fret. I slid into it. Now I'm kind of switching over to my middle finger for picking. And then that's going to go back to the C chord and measure 7, 5th fret, 2nd string. We'll kind of shift the focus over to measure 9 through 12 now. I'm going to include the last two of measure 8, which are the 5th fret on the top 2 strings. Quarter notes, beats 3 and 4 of that measure. Alright, so like I said, in measure 8, the two kind of notes leading into measure 9 are the 5th fret of the top 2 strings. And when I play those two notes separately, I don't have my bar just laying across those two notes, because they ring together that way, which can be great in some occasions if you choose to do that. But in this case, I wanted 2 separate notes, so I got the bar tilted, just touching that 2nd string, 5th fret. And then when I move up to the 5th fret of the 1st string, same thing. That's leading to measure 9, which is that 5th fret of the top string. Going to measure 10, 5th fret, 2nd string, 3rd fret, 5th fret, 3rd string, which is leading to measure 11, 6th fret of the 2nd string. Alright, so now we'll kind of finish up this basic melody and we'll look at measures 13 through 16. Really just 13 through 15. Measure 16 is kind of leading into the more advanced variation of this. I will include the last 2 notes of measure 12. Right, so the last 2 notes of measure 12, that was the 5th fret of the 3rd string, 3rd fret of the 2nd string. You know, and that might be an example of where my index comes into play. Leading to measure 12, 5th fret of the 2nd string. That's a whole note, carries over for 1 beat of measure 14. Then we go up to the 6th fret of that 2nd string, 5th fret, 3rd fret. Then we're going to resolve and measure 15 to that 3rd fret of the 3rd string, which is our root note, a C note.